Welcome to episode number 70 of About the Cards podcast, live tonight on YouTube. As always, with me, my host Ben Whistlenet of Trading Cards. I'm Big Shep at Big Shep 79, and Stefan Loffa, our Jugquacks twins. He is out on assignment this week, but instead we have special guest host at the Mike Sommer. Mike Sommer is here. What's up, Mike? How are we doing tonight,
boys? How's it going? Things are going well. Can't wait for the good show tonight.
Yeah, our Midwest Bureau checking in. So it was
right.
coined by a few episodes back when we had you and Bo on. We're grateful to have you on tonight and hanging out with us. And we actually invited you on, pull back the curtain a little bit, before Steph was out on assignment to talk about a topic that went kind of crazy yesterday on Twitter, and we'll get to that later. But just so everybody knows, Mike was already going to be on the show. We love having him on. So
Can I throw a quick shout out to Michael?
Yeah.
All right. So
there you go.
earlier
There we go.
Well, the time afforded to me, matches, Mikey. He reached out to me last week, asked me if I was still at the same address. I got a care package from him this week, and man, if it wasn't some 1987 Topps rookie card, Mike McGuire's, a nice little stack of them, and card. They're going to go in a super special page so that I know they're not going to get lost amongst the 600 of them that I have now. These ones came from my best friend. I mean, he's currently the 18th best friend that I have, but that's all right.
Yeah,
it's getting
none of them will admit to being your best friend, though.
That's fine. That's proof that you guys love me.
Yeah, we are a podcast for collectors by collectors, hoping to bring you a smart and insightful podcast discussing trading card collecting. We're live every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific, 10 Central. There we go. On YouTube, Periscope, and Facebook Live. Somebody reached out and said, hey, if the Central's getting a shout-out, I want an East Coast. East Coast bias on this show. We don't care about the East Coast. Follow us on Twitter at About the Cards. We are available as a podcast on iTunes, Podbean, Stitcher, Overcast, TuneIn. Check out the website, aboutthecards.wordpress.com, and hang out with us on the Flick Chat app and talk about the cards. Yeah, and the Nats just blew up the game here. Let's hop into it, guys. The week that was last week's releases, Topps Living Week 84. We had card 250, Yadier Molina, catcher of the St. Louis Cardinals. Sold just a handful shy of 2,700. Max Fried, pitcher of the Atlanta Braves, sold a little over 2,300. And card 252, Alex Bregman, third baseman of the Astros, who just bumbled the ball, sold 2,888. So check out at Topps Living Stat for a full breakdown of where these cards fall respectively in the set and by team and by position. So not, I guess it's an all right week. We're going to talk about this long and hard for Bean. But, I mean, pretty much a standard week of what we say. No one broke 2,000 or 3,000. Kind of is what it is. No rookie card. 2019 Topps Update Series came out, as well as 2019 Topps Go Label Baseball, 2019 Panini Phoenix Football, 2019-20 Panini Prizm Draft Pick Collegiate Basketball, and 2018-19 Panini Immaculate Basketball. Real quick, the thing that was caught me off guard, and going through, I went back and looked. I did not know that jumbo boxes were going to have a box topper this year until I actually opened my boxes. So it's like a 3x5 card or 3x4 card kind of size, 84 design, and you get one per jumbo box on top.
In addition to silver packs?
In addition to the silver packs, which were packed in there as well, which I liked having the silver packs in the box.
Oh, yeah.
So that was pretty cool. But my best one was Austin Riley. I pulled most of the other guys I pulled were all-stars, well-known names. So just pretty interesting. Hot off the presses, this week's new releases. Topps Living Week 85. We have card 253. Hold on one second. Normally we have Steph for this, so screen share here. So card 253 was Aroldis Chapman. pitcher for the New York Yankees. And the only other card was 254, Ryan Zimmerman of the Washington Nationals. Hey, it's a little hard without Steph, but it's only 2 cards this week. Not bad, but I feel like it could have been an Astro maybe, but I know we've had a couple lately. 2 teams from the World Series, but what do you think?
I think it's interesting that this is the first time we've had a week where there's only 2 cards. I don't know how much of that, there's talk is that just with the drama that was going on about a potential change in artist, and this is a way to extend some cards that might be in the hopper. Is it a way to minimize the work that might need to be done to make it a little more manageable? Where's it going to go from here? I think it's going to be interesting. On a personal note, I didn't like the change in price. The 2-card bundle ends up coming to be $12, $6 a card instead of $15 or $5 a card when it was a 3-card bundle. So personally, that might change the way that I pick up the set because $5 a card is already on the high end of what I'm looking to pay, and so going up to $6 might mean I should try to start picking them up on the secondary market.
Yeah, and I feel like they stopped adding rookies after I'd have to go back and look last year, but towards the very end of the playoffs, even through the World Series, they still had a few rookies, and they stopped in the offseason. There's still a number of rookies that haven't had cards, and it just kind of. I think that's what really brings the drives that set every week is what's the rookie going to be or the Hall of Famer. And you have Chapman and Zimmerman, and they're kind of like, all right. I mean, we talked about pre-show. Zim's had a little resurgence, and it's been kind of the staple. He's the Washington Nationals guy, but I don't know. It doesn't excite me at all.
Now, the price point is going to end up killing this. Mike hit it on the head. I think that everybody was kind of the consensus was that this has got to be artist related. Obviously Star Wars Living only has done 2 cards per week since its inception. So now Topps Living Baseball mirrors that, at least temporarily for the foreseeable future, maybe until the beginning of the year and they go back to 3 cards once baseball season starts again. But you can't raise the price after 2 years of this and expect some collectors not to bow out. I mean, like Mike had said, I've been buying a lot of other non-A's cards, guys that I've wanted to collect that I consider either stars, all-stars, Hall of Famers, potential Hall of Famers, things along those lines. But not to be petty over this extra dollar, but, when you have people on a finite budget each month, and you're already stretching your budget to buy something that falls outside of your personal collection, to create a new personal collection, and now all of a sudden that cost rises. I mean, going into the week, I dread Tuesdays with this 150 card, 150th anniversary set, Living on Wednesdays, Throwback Thursday on Thursdays, all of the Topps Now stuff, not to mention the countless releases and all this crap that gets thrown on our plate, like Topps Fire, Chrome Update, and all this other stuff. I know another set that we're going to talk about coming up here soon that's yet another set that wasn't on any release calendars, and next thing you know, hey, it's coming out soon.
Oh, surprise. Or we always talk about that behind the scenes, like, hey, what's the surprise week this week that I'm going to be updating? We're going to be updating the notes 10 minutes before the show starts. So we also had 2019 Topps Triple Threads Baseball Drop, $2.15 a box, 2 packs per box, 7 cards per pack. You're going to get one autograph that's a triple memorabilia card, 1 additional autograph, 1 triple mem card, 1 jumbo mem card, and 4 parallels. If you count as a base set, there's 145 cards. 100 are active and retired players. The next 45 are rookie base rookie cards, and future phenom autograph relics. Most of the signatures in the set also have mem on them. Triple Threads autograph relic combo cards are a few of the most notable in the line. Each has an autograph and swatch from 3 different players, which is cool. You kind of have a triple header card. And then all of the mem cards are numbered no higher than 36. So pretty standard of what we've expected from Triple Threads over the past few years.
Yeah, it's a nice. I'm a big fan of Triple Threads. It's always been a personal favorite. I like the card stock on the base cards, and it meets the needs of team collectors and player collectors, along with people that are looking for a higher end auto relics. And a lot of the stuff stays lower numbered, but yet it's still fairly affordable. So it's kind of a nice marriage of some of the higher end stuff and some of the lower end stuff. It's a nice, mid range to lower tier high end, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and these are the base cards that get left at the shop.
Well, if they get left at the shop, there are 3 A's on that checklist that you're more than welcome to grab, especially parallels. But yeah, nice colors. There's a couple of new colors too. What's interesting is we were talking a while back, maybe last week, about colored parallels and the fact that we wish that they were like more uniformed across all products. And gold is traditionally out of 50 in most products. And in triple threads, gold is out of 99, which is kind of weird to see it out of 99 of all things. Usually that's a number that's green or emerald with some of the higher end. And this year they've got a citrine and onyx, which is
real quick, we'll just run through it. Amethyst out of 299, emerald out of 259, amber out of 199, gold out of 99, citrine out of 75, onyx out of 50, sapphire out of 25. I feel, and then rubies are 101. I feel like I've heard the stripper lineup before at the club. Next on stage, let's welcome Amethyst, followed by citrine and onyx. Welcome all the girls on the stage.
If they want to do a triple of those, hey-o.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. So,
what color is citrine? I didn't look it up. I wanted to look it up to see what color it was. It's got to be like an orange or something, right?
Maybe yellow, because it sounds like it's kind of an orangish yellow color.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, I was surprised. I know Onyx seems like it should be a lower number, because it seems like most of 2019, a lot of the black parallels have been either one of ones or extremely low numbered for a lot of the other checklist releases. So seeing that one out of 50, but it's just like gold is always out of 50.
Mm-hmm.
Not this year, not in this particular set. It's just a little frustrating.
Yeah.
We
also have 2019 Topps Chrome Update Series drop. It's you can find it at your local Target. It's a Target only product. You can find a hanger box, 3-card pack. 3 packs in the hanger box, 4 cards per pack. You'll get 2 pink refractors. There's also a mega box, which has 7 packs per box and 4 cards per pack. Hey guys, I'm getting a little feedback here. Not sure what's going on. You guys hear it?
Yeah, I can hear it a little bit.
Okay.
It's probably on my end, because I'm streaming through the phone.
Okay.
Buzzing sound?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's nothing I can do about that.
Oh, no worries. So 100-card base set. They're exclusive to Target. Like I said, the veterans and rookies. It's going to have veteran and rookies, and there's also All-Star Game and rookie debuts in there as well. So very similar to Update. This doesn't have all 300 cards, but all the big names are in there. So, but it's again only at Target. So, I've seen some people open this up already. Mike, what do you feel about having an Update series of Chrome where it's a retail only release?
I don't mind it. Like I said, I don't know. I said this a couple weeks ago, I think, but I'm a fan of as much of the direct to consumer and even pushing some more of this retail stuff out there for the masses to consume. Breaking up a little bit of the hold that hobby has through the distributors, and it's more distributor issues for me than hobby shop issues. But I like having options out there for people to get in the retail setting. So I'm a fan. I won't be buying a whole lot probably, but I'm a fan of the option being there.
But retail only, I mean, especially with something as popular as Chrome, you would think that it would still have some type of a hobby footprint.
Yeah, I guess it just doesn't bother me.
Yeah, I mean, I love that the product is released via retail, because as we've talked before, there are so many people that don't have access to an LCS or traditional brick and mortar. But to do retail only, especially when it's specific to one retailer and not every retailer. I mean, for me, for instance, I live in a small town of about 35 to 40,000 people. And a couple of years ago, we finally got a Walmart. But if I want a Target, it's a 15-minute drive. Not to say that that's a big deal, but it is when there's no guarantee that this product will be on the shelf. So if I want to drive 15 miles south or north, I'm kind of shot in the dark whether or not they'll even have it. It's just a little frustrating that it's at Target and not Target and Walmart or other retailers.
There's only 1,871 Target stores currently in the United States.
Yeah, it's just, but see, we live in a very large state where if I was to drive north, I could find 4 Targets probably in a 5-mile radius. But what if you live back in the Midwest where, Mike's neck of the woods, and I don't know how big, his suburban area is, but there are people that have to drive 45 plus miles to Targets and Walmarts. It'd be nice if both of them carried it, or it was available online at the very least.
I'm in the middle on it, and I don't really find it as a super desirable set. I don't know. I think that I'm mixed emotions on it. I don't know how to feel, I guess. But there's also 2019 Topps Walmart Holiday Snowflake available. Should be available sometime in the next week or so. It's 10 packs per box, 10 cards per pack. You're going to get 1 autograph or relic and then 5 parallels in your box. It's a 200 card base set. It is a Walmart exclusive. The set brings back the mega boxes. While there are a lot of similarities, the past releases, there's been some new additions. Notice there'll be a bigger checklist. And there's also a couple late season trades that are reflected. So in this, you're going to have Zach Greinke on the Astros, Bauer on the Reds, which they haven't done previously. The metallic snowflake cards are 1 in every 2 packs. And they're not the snowflake cards that have snowflakes on them. They actually have like a rougher edge where you can actually feel the snowflake.
It's a little embossed.
Yeah.
We talked about this last year because you really have to buy from a eBay seller that knows how they're listing it, because I had to reach out to quite a few because they call it the holiday snowflake and they don't know how to decipher the base card, which has snowflakes on it, but it's not raised versus the metallic embossed or, whatever the term we would use for the one where you can actually feel the snowflake across the top. And just be careful if you're looking for the parallels, because not everybody knows how to list it. And I reached out to a handful and even told them, hey, you guys are going to get returns, because if I had bought these, I'm returning them to you because you listed it incorrectly. And that's the whole purpose of me reaching out in the first place, to make sure I'm buying what I'm after.
Somebody's got a problem here. And then the biggest change or addition to it is the variation of short prints. So they've added short prints this year. There are a lot of them, landing in 3 different tiers of rarity. The most common variations have the largest checklist with 50 cards. Rare and super rare variations each have 25. So we'll see. There's a lot of overlap with the players having short prints and super short prints. So I know that we will definitely have Ryan Cracknell, who's tweeted out this story earlier. He'll be updating. We'll be following him intensely about all the parallels and short prints and super short prints that come out. So,
and Mike, didn't you say that this was the set was named after something?
Which
the holiday snowflake set?
Oh no, that's the special edition set.
Yeah, there's the special edition about the card snowflake set that has Ben Wilson as on the checklist.
Just Ben Wilson, because he's our biggest snowflake.
If I wasn't using my phone, I actually have an app that does a laugh track, and I'd have been more than happy to press that button, and we could add a little bit of 1989 Full House laugh track.
Yes, 2019 Panini Prizm football drops Friday. $200 a box, 12 packs per box, 12 cards per pack. In your box, you're going to get 3 autographs, 4 inserts, 1 silver Prizm, 9 additional Prizm, and 24 rookie cards. It's a 400 card base set with 100 rookies. It's pretty awesome. Prizm parallels, which span the rainbow of backgrounds and beautiful colors. rookie patch autographs or case hits. And new this year are the franchise legend signatures, which are a bunch of NFL greats. So those will be new this year. We probably won't see any Bears in there because the Bears are pretty terrible. So, it's just a joke because he's wearing a Bears sweater. So, yeah, Mitch Trubisky.
He's awesome.
Greatest draft pick of all time.
But you know what, though? He's still a better pick than Solomon Thomas, who the Niners flip-flopped to go from 2 to 3 to get, and they both.
Yeah, but Solomon Thomas at least netted them extra draft picks by moving down that one pick.
Yeah, that's
Trubisky's in his third year, and they're already talking about possibly trading for Nick Foles. No, he's in his third year.
Just because we could have had Deshaun Watson,
Pat Mahomes,
we'll go with Mitch.
You would have been better off trading a late round draft pick for Blake Bortles.
It's hard to argue.
I bet Derek Carr is available. No, Prizm football is I would say the one set where the rookie card kind of is like, if you're looking at base rookie cards in parallel rookie cards that probably tend to hold the best value just on base cards alone and parallels. No autos, no mem, anything like that. Would you guys agree with that, or am I off base?
I think now that they're making the silvers a little more limited, I think there's a little more truth to that. I think it was 17 and prior, every rookie was a Prizm no matter what. And so
16 and 17, the rookies were only silvers and they were short printed, but not like they had been in the years before. And then since then, it was only a 2-year period they did that. So
okay, because that was right when I started to get back into it. Was that 16 year, and every rookie was a Prizm.
Silver. Yeah.
And so, but now that it's like one per box or whatever it is now, yeah, I think there's a little more validity to that. And
I would also put in there contenders football. But more the autograph on that side is like the go-to autograph that you'd want for a rookie. Tends to be contenders. But these are the base. I would say the base rookie cards if you were to go after one. 2018-19 Upper Deck the Cup releases today. $530 a box, 1 pack per box, 6 cards per pack. You're going to get 2 autograph patch cards. It's a 149 card base set. Most cards are numbered to 249. Rookie patch autos come in a couple of tiers. The more common cards are tier 1, and those are out of 249. And while the top rookies are tier 2 or just out of 99. So there's a handful. I want to say there was like 8 or 10 of those guys. When it comes to modern hockey rookie cards, these are considered the most coveted. It's an ultra premium product, and on-card autos, plenty of patches of the biggest names in the sport. So I wish Steph was on tonight to talk a little bit about the cup, but this is basically like the flawless version of hockey product that comes out. So completely licensed, looks great, Upper Deck photography. So pretty amazing. What's brewing next week's releases, as we talked about just a second ago, 2019 Panini Flawless Baseball is the release for next week. So I think it's a light week just due to Halloween, maybe. I don't know. Halloween's on a Thursday. But it was one release that was on the checklist. So that'll be interesting. So we'll have to be a lot of us next week, jibber-jabbering back and forth. Infield chatter, our hobby talk section. Let's get into it, guys. This is the best part of the show. This is what people hang out for. This is why Bean stays up late listening to the show. So D Thimish on Twitter, David Thimish. We've talked about him before. It was real cool. He sent out a tweet where he had completed the complete 2015 Heritage Minor League set, all autographed. So he has the complete set here, and it's completely autographed, in-person autographs, obviously.
Who's all in that set?
I did take a big look at the checklist. But I mean, most of anybody that's in there is going to be in the major league. I just saw Jack Flaherty flip by. I can pull it up in a sec, but it's pretty impressive to have all these minor leaguers. Impressive. He either got them himself or he made trades to get them. Jesse Winker's on there. I think one of the hardest ones people ask him is how he got Alex Reyes to sign. and I guess that he got Reyes to sign because through someone that knew Alex's dad. I guess he doesn't do a lot of signings, so
it's I mean, it's impressive because it's complete, and there's over 200 cards, and even if you've got season tickets to one of the minor league parks, you would have to have. Because with the minor league set, you have different levels. It's not like major leagues where they're all at the major league level at some point. You've got guys in AA, single A, triple A, all the different levels. So, it's not easy. And there's going to be guys that don't sign. And unfortunately, there's guys that, get injured, even possibly pass away and whatnot, even though it's not that old of a set.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I mean, it's one that everybody tries to, or a lot of people try to go and get autos on. They purposely print it without the facsimile so people can go get it. And that year in particular is just stacked. I mean, Corey Seager, Aaron Judge, Matt Olson,
Zimmer,
Torres.
There was who else was on here? Ozzie Albies, Kyle Schwarber. Yeah, you said Schwarber. My boy Hunter Dozier is on there. What's up?
Giolito, Kopech, Conforto. I mean, it's stacked.
What would a set like that? So obviously, if it's in person, obviously it's devalued to a certain degree because you have the authenticity questions. But if you were to put that up at auction, what do we think with that list of names? Since it's a big checklist, I mean, it's got to sell well over $1,000, which would only be $4 a card. But how many thousands?
Yeah, I think you'd have to have some kind of authenticity just to the autographs, I guess. So I don't know. I mean, some of these guys don't even play. Like Max Pentecost, he was a high draft pick and he retired. That's on this list. I mean, this is a impressive list of guys.
For sure.
Yeah, you would have to think. I mean, $10 a card.
Maybe.
If you tried to sell it, I mean, again,
I would say four for the guys that didn't make it. Maybe 3 or 4 for those guys, and then $10 for the guys that did.
Yeah, so a lot of big names on there that would probably sell. And again, it's a complete set, so there is a premium on that. So if he put it up for $5,000 or best offer, it wouldn't surprise me if it came close to that.
Yeah.
For somebody that's got money that is interested in that.
But no, it's great to see. Another fun thing to watch, and we will disagree. I think we'll agree on what happened at the end. But so at Kentucky Cards, I don't know if you follow this guy. Huge Kentucky fan, basketball fan, football, but he's got this whole giant room with like autographed shoes, all this Kentucky memorabilia. It's pretty impressive. He posted a video of himself opening up. I don't remember. I think it was Contenders basketball. But he pulled collegiate basketball, but he pulled a 1-of-1 signed Zion RJ Barrett rookie card, and was so excited about it that this week he actually flew to Dallas to go to BGS to have the card graded. So he kind of did like 3 or 4 videos that were a minute or so long, and if you go back in his timeline, you can see him. So he flew out and had the card graded, and it resulted in a 9. It was a 9.5 10, and was just kind of went through the whole process, and just the excitement though of watching him open the pack and get the card was cool. Second, him just in the airport flying, sitting in the airport talking about it, how he had through all this, he was gonna have to take hours to cut it open as Adam Eaton scored. And then the video of him finding out what the score was. And then on top of it, he went to a card shop in Dallas yesterday and bought some Collegiate Prizm basketball and pulled a Zion auto out of 5. Then he pulled a snakeskin Zion and another one out of like 4 or 5 boxes he bought, and went back and had all those graded. And they all came back with, nice, decent grades, 9.5s or whatever. But just his whole experience of watching, and this is an older man. I would say he's probably in his 40s, maybe early 50s, but how super excited he was. He was like a 12-year-old kid. So if you get a chance, check out at Kentucky Cards on Twitter. Some cool videos. But, Ben had the biggest thing. He said, why would you grade a 1-of-1? There's so many other ways to secure and encapsulate a one-of-one card that nobody else is going to have.
It adds no significant monetary value whatsoever. And in a private conversation between the two of us and Steph, I mentioned I don't understand the purpose of grading it. You're already going to get a premium because of who it is and the fact that it's a superfractor. Grading it, and Steph's like, to protect it. And I'm like, man, this isn't 1985 anymore. We have so many ways to encapsulate and protect a card that you don't have to spend the money or the time. And then the fact that right now every grader has a black eye as far as what they value it at anyway. I mean, a 9, 5, 10, okay, whatever. That means absolutely nothing to anybody that's been following the scandals. And, you're spending money. He flew himself out to Dallas. I mean, all of this costs money. And Steph made a comment about, well, not everything is about money. It's like, and everything's about money. This hobby, even for somebody like me that is opposed to investing and all this other stuff within the hobby, I still spend money to collect cards. Everything is about money. Every dollar spent. I don't care what hobby you're in, you're still spending money. Even if you're gardening, you still have to pay money for flower pots and seeds and bulbs and manure. I mean, it's all the same. Everything is money. There's no reason to spend money to grade a superfractor at all, period.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess it's up to him. It's his deal. If that's what makes him feel better. I don't know where I would land on overall, I'm not a fan of grading. I don't know that it's worth it in most cases. There's probably a few cases that it does make sense. I get the desire, if you've got a one-of-one, to try to keep it in a condition that will likely never deteriorate, and hopefully getting it encased would do that. But yeah, I mean, it's a lot. I think it's a cool story. I think I like the path that he took. I saw the first part when he first opened it, that pinned video that he had. I didn't see any of the trip, any of the videos from his trip down there. But I think that's a cool concept and a cool idea to kind of document the story and document the journey. Yeah. And so,
and real quick, if you were going to take you were going to take a little vacation anyway, and that's what you decided to do with your vacation money or whatever, that's fine. Steph, I know Steph's watching the show, but he asked if it was Nick's Sports Cards in Dallas. No, he actually went to S&P Sports Cards in Grapevine, Texas. I don't know, Steph, if you're familiar with those guys, but that's where he picked it up.
Do we know if he plans on selling it?
He said he doesn't know. He's just kind of like loving it and living up. He was so excited about it. I think it's one of those things that you might just hold on to for a while and see what happens. Because looking at this guy's collection of like autographed Nike shoes that he has from Kentucky and some of the stuff that he has, I don't have a feeling that money is a big obstacle for this man. Sure. Just based on the high-end collection that he does have, is very impressive. But these Kentucky fans are crazy. Right, because in Kentucky, that's like really all you have is the Wildcats. Yeah. So it was pretty cool. I liked it because the whole story about how we got to see him get the card, and then when he got it graded, and just his pure excitement was exactly why we're all in this hobby. Duke and Kentucky, man, like that's nasty. He probably didn't like Zion at all last year, but even though he pulled a Zion RJ Barrett Duke card, he was so pumped. Because everybody's after that. He got this one-of-one, and just kind of the journey was fun. So
if he is going to sell it, he needs to wait 6 to 8 weeks until Zion comes back.
Yeah.
But real quick, can we do a quick one-off after whatever your thought is?
No. The thing I was going to talk about is Zion real quick. He had surgery for meniscus, right?
Right.
And I heard Doug Christie, Sacramento King great Doug Christie, on the radio the other day saying he had a couple procedures done on his meniscus on his knee. And he goes, what that basically is the shock absorber for your knee. So when you tear it or hurt it, they go in and they either just trim it or remove parts or do some adjusting to it. But every time you go in there and something's happened to it, you have less and less absorption. So it's going to end up starting being more bone on bone. So you think about how high flying and how active he is as a player. And at 19, he's having this surgery done now. What is that going to do to his athleticism and his game? Because, one, he's not a three-point shooter. He doesn't have a lot of range. His game is the power game, is the up-in-the-air game. How can this affect him long-term? So they need to be careful when it comes back. I had almost no meniscus now in my right knee from playing football for so many years. And I can tell you this knee sucks when it gets cold. And when I insert, like if I sit for a long time, it's nice and crusty. But I can only imagine at 19 having that surgery done and being as athletic as he is, getting back out there. So let's just hope that the Pelicans take time, let this kid heal, let him get right, and just not throw him out there. I mean, you saw how they were a competitive team last night against the Raptors team that, got their rings and stuff. I watched a little bit of that game. They finally have more than just one player down there in New Orleans.
Oh, that team is going to be an awesome – I mean, what David Griffin has done with that team, the trade of Davis, and obviously he lucked into the Zion pick, but what the other stuff that
J.J. Redick?
Yeah, he maximized that Davis trade. He traded down in the draft to acquire more assets. I mean, the Pelicans are going to be no joke if some of these players pan out the way that everybody anticipates.
Brandon Ingram can be a stud. It reminds me of when you get NBA 2K and you go, hey, I'm going to be the crappy team and rebuild them. This looks like when you go and you make all the trades and you get all the draft picks so you can build a super awesome team of young guys. That's what the Pelicans look like.
No, they're going to be good, and they're young, and a lot of these guys are still fairly cheap. And, at the end of the day, much like the Philadelphia 76ers, sorry, that's me. The trust the process. You acquire all of these assets, and at the end of the day, that's how you have to look at them. Even if guys like Bell or Josh Hart and Lonzo Ball and stuff, even if these guys don't end up panning out for the Pelicans, that's okay because you can deal them somewhere else and acquire more assets that fit into what you're trying to build long term.
Yeah. And
you have a centerpiece in Zion who I believe – I think the NBA, the way it works is you can literally keep your first-round picks up to like 7 years. I believe is what it is when you deal with a rookie contract and then, restricted free agency and everything. And so they've got 7 years of Zion, if I'm not mistaken. So –
yeah, and like you said, all those other guys are they view them as good young investments that they might be able to sit on for a while and then flip into some higher value players later on.
Well, yeah, and they're going to be primed for the move to Kansas City in 2 years. So, or Seattle.
Can we move back to the Superfractor real quick? Our friend Ivan at Watch the Breaks, Go GTS co-host, had asked a question this week in a poll about superfractors. What do you guys feel about getting a superfractor that's a non-auto super autographed in person?
No.
Yeah, I wouldn't do it.
Yeah, I felt the same way, but it's surprisingly it seemed like without pulling up the poll, it seemed like quite a few people, at least commenting on the tweet, were saying, yeah, I've done it. I do it all the time. One guy's like, I get superfractors specifically to get them autographed. And at the end of the day, it's yours. And if you don't plan on getting rid of it at any point, it doesn't necessarily devalue it. But I do think it alters its resale value in the event that you ever, want to sell it or have to sell it for any reason.
Yeah. I don't understand. To me, it doesn't make a lot of sense. What's up, Brian Weiss? Hanging out with us tonight, getting in a little late. Have to, Marky, is it tardy? Let's see here, guys. We have a bunch going on. At Flywheel Cards, cardboard and toys. For those of you who place your sets in pages and binders, do you treat the annual Topps update set as its own set binder or include it in your Series 1 and 2 binders? He had 49 votes on this. How do you? I know Ben's a little different because you have your big A's binder. So how do you go about that, Ben? Does it follow your Series 1, Series 2, and then update in your binder?
Yes, it's essentially Series 3 as far as I consider it. And I'll tell you why, as a team collector, I would do it that way, is because Update has a lot of the same inserts continued, whether they're the silver packs, but the 150th anniversary this year, most of the insert sets are included in Series 1, 2, and Update. So that's why I would. And if I was making a giant binder, I don't know the binders can hold 900 cards or 1,000 cards or whatever it is now. But I would include it in that too.
Yeah, for me, conceptually, I'm right there with you. To me, it is Series 3, and I would put 1, 2, and 3 all in the same binder. I've got them both ways mainly because I've only found a couple binders that are big enough to hold that 1,000 cards or whatever it is. And so I've got a couple where it's Series 1 and 2 in a binder and a smaller binder for Series 3, but I do have a couple super large binders where I've put them all together. And conceptually, that's where I'd go because I kind of view it as one continuous series.
Yeah. I agree with the series thing, and the thing is on the binder. So, everybody, I've shown off all my binders before. I pulled the trade-in and the update sets into their own binder just based on space and how it was going to be. And my Billy bookcase from IKEA, which are awesome because you can fit 10 2-inch binders on each shelf. So I have decades. So I have the 70s decade, the 80s decade, the 90s, and so on, which now I need to get a new bookcase as we go into 2020. But it's pretty cool. And so I've always just made a secondary binder for the update set just because I couldn't physically fit them where I wanted to, and it kind of worked out in that way. But, it says in the out of the 49 votes included had 78% in its own binder, 22. So, I think that if we all could, we would, but sometimes it's not always feasible. So our buddy Chris Torres tweeted out, you can always find him at CRT_sports cards. A great follow and retailer of product if you're looking for singles and sets and stuff. I was planning on listing an auction, a 2019 Topps Update Series rookie lot, which would have 81 rookie cards, no rookie debut in it. I'm curious if you think it would sell for more or less than a complete 300-card base set. It ends Friday. When I asked him earlier in the day, it said it was currently at $20. What do you think it would go for? Just to kind of give you an idea, an update base set going for about $35 with sometimes with free shipping, sometimes without the shipping, and it's going for about $40 with the if you're paying for shipping or not. But you can usually find it for around $35 just for the cards. So what would you say just the rookie cards alone, 81 of them, no debut cards, would go for? It was at 20 this morning. So
I would hope it would be 25 to 25-ish. I think it should be less than the full set, clearly, because the full set's got the full set in it. But, sometimes collectors don't always think the same way, or think in that way. And, there might be some that don't want the extra cards and are willing to pay as much or more just to get the rookies. But I would hope that it would be in that $20 to $25 range using common sense.
Yeah, Mike hit it on the head. My first thought was, what if I'm a prospector, speculator, and I'm just looking, I just want the 81 cards. I don't need an 82nd card of All-Star Jack Boo, of any random guy or traded. I just want the 81 cards because I am a speculator. But I wouldn't see why it would go for more. I mean, at the very least, it could go for maybe 60 to 80% of the complete set because that person values the rest as throwaway cards, and I don't need 250 cards laying on my desk that I have no desire for. So I'll pay close to. But at the end of the day, it shouldn't sell for more.
Yeah, I mean, it's at 60. It was at 60% this morning. I think Chris is with us. So Chris, if you're in the chat, let us know. You feel free, sharing where that is. I mean, we're talking, it was Wednesday morning at $20. It's open till Friday. You know how bidding goes. That usually doesn't take off until the last hour. So like I said, I'm real interested to see, and we'll cover that next week. But
one thing to keep in mind, too, is we're assuming that Mr. Joe Prospector, who's looking at this, or two guys who might get into a bidding war, even know the current market worth of a complete set or care.
Well, I picked up a 2017-18 Panini Prizm basketball set with the rookies for under $50, and it had the rookie cards in them. I priced out just the top 5 or 6 rookies and maybe 7 rookies, and I was like at $40.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, might as well just buy the set. And I get all those rookies I was looking at anyway, and now I got the full set. So I thought that was funny. Chris just said it's still at 20th 11 watchers. So I'm going to be watching that closely to see what happens. So Chris, if you keep us updated, we appreciate it. That's just interesting. It's an interesting experiment in how far people are willing to go just to get rookie cards.
Well, yeah, and Chris, if he's selling on Sport Lots, can easily, offload a lot of the other stuff to player and team collectors. I'm sure, in his position, Mike's in the same position where, you buy cases. I know, Tim, you bought cases recently as well. If you could get 80% off of the cards that are the most valuable, you'll be able to make up the difference selling the rest, because there are other good players that'll carry a slight premium over, the minimum price. And when I was piecing together the top Sapphire set, because I didn't want to buy the whole set because it was cost prohibitive as a whole set. And I'm like, at $2 a card for all of them, that's 20 cards. So that's $40 right there. But the Matt Chapman alone was going to cost me $6 to $8. And then the Ramon Laureano at the time was listed for at least $20. And I'm like, shoot, just to buy the Chapman and the Laureano alone, I'm almost at the complete team set price. And I would literally have to piece together the rest of the 20 additional cards at 40 cents a piece. So at that point, you start to do the math, and it's like, it's just better for me to buy it as a complete team set, even though it's more than I had anticipated. It's still going to be cheaper in the long run. But again, it goes back to your desire. What are you after? Obviously, whoever's bidding on that is after just the rookie cards, and they're willing to pay at least 60% at this point.
Yep.
Yeah. It's an awesome experiment. I'm glad that he's doing it to share with us also. At Bleed Cub Blue 311, Jake, not from State Farm on Twitter, tweeted out this earlier in the week. My LCS has a Ron Santo and Ernie Banks signed bat for $50 each. So a Santo and a Banks bat for $50. Seemed super cheap, so I looked into, authenticated it, and it's a known forger from our area and nationally. Seems crazy shady to me. Should I say something? What would you guys do if you went into your shop and you saw it and you knew that you had an idea that, hey, $50 for an autographed bat of a Hall of Fame. Santo's in the Hall of Fame now, right?
Yep.
They put him in.
Yep.
So 2 Hall of Famers for $50 bat. Yeah. Right, and you go look at the authenticity, the guy that authenticated, and you're like, oh yeah, I've heard that he's on the shadier side of the business. What would you do?
I'd say something. I mean, I would at least point it out to say you might want to get this checked by somebody else, especially if the shop owner isn't aware that the guy is shady. It'd make me have second thoughts about doing business there if the owner was aware that he's shady and still was kind of purporting it to be, genuine and authentic and no questions asked. Look, we've got it authenticated. But I would at least say something, make him aware if he's not already.
Yeah, I think we have an obligation as consumers to, I wouldn't make a big deal about it if there's a bunch of people in the shop. I would definitely make it a private conversation and raise awareness and my suspicions. Obviously we can't emphatically say one way or the other, but if it's a known scammer or a forger, I'd make sure the LCS owner was aware. And if they weren't, what they do moving forward is now, a whole nother conversation. And if they are aware, as Mike said, that would end my, that calls into question the integrity of the shop owner. And I wouldn't be able to do business there anymore.
Yeah, I agree with you guys. I just thought it was an interesting, guys. If you see something, say something. Is the biggest thing there, and there's always going to be. That's why I'm not a huge memorabilia autograph person. There's so many fakes and it's just, to me, it's unless you get it in person and it's for you to hang on a wall. To me, it's a little. Not a big fan. LTL Schwartz Teddy. I think he's a little bit of a Twins fan. He said a little bit of unfortunate quality control from Topps 2019 at Topps update. Looks like the Twins, Eddie Rosario, and the Mets, Ahmed Rosario, had their patches placed in the wrong cards. So they have the in the name of the game, or in the name of the game, I think is what they're called. And let's see here. We'll share it. So yeah, own the name. And so obviously this is Ahmed Rosario, but in a Twins jersey. And then you see Eddie Rosario of the Twins with a Mets jersey. So
that's bad QC. I joked with Stefan, who has to have every variation. I'm like, you have to get them both because one is a Twins card and the other one is a Twins patch. So you don't have a choice. As a Twins collector, they're both variations, and you need them both.
Yeah.
But that's bad. And there was another one as well, wasn't there?
No, he was kidding because he was talking about Rosario Dawson, who's an actress.
Yeah,
but
no, I just...
At least they got it right. At least it was the last name was right. Like, I mean, that's still dumb because you got to look at... Whoever's looking at that just doesn't go, these colors don't match? Or they had the colorblind guy doing it. That's what happens.
It wouldn't be the first one. We've mentioned this before years ago. Triple Threads, our friend Brent Williams pulled a 1-of-1 Ricky Henderson, and it was a Yankees 1-of-1, which is obviously not as desirable as the A's for that particular player. But as many teams as he played for, it really comes down to either the A's or the Yankees, right? I mean, it's got to be one or the other. But it was a beautiful Yankees card with a big Mets patch. And it's like, and it was a 1-of-1. And it's like, you've got to be kidding me. And he's like, this immediately went from like an $800 card to like a $400 card. Maybe. Just because of the patch.
Yeah.
And to me, it was like, if it was an A's 1-of-1 with an, A's card, A's patch, $1,000. Yankees, it was probably 800. Yankees, Mets, specifically the Yankees, Mets, not Yankees, A's, not Yankees.
At least it wasn't Yankees, Red Sox.
Yeah. I mean,
he did play for the Sox.
I suppose it depends on who the Yankee collector hates more. But yeah, Red Sox, Mets are probably just about on equal footing.
At NJ Sinison, I guess I probably butchered that, but was browsing good old Twitter and saw this card. Pretty crazy thing. Mantle was rocking Puma cleats. So I don't know if you guys all saw this, but there is a immaculate card with Mantle, and it's an insole of his shoe, and it's Puma, and it's a 2 of 3. There was another tweet that came out that showed the back of the card that said, "Hey, this is from a old timer, a fantasy camp." But the thing was, it said, "Yeah, this is the back of the card, apparently from a fantasy camp he and Ford did in the late '80s, meaning Whitey Ford." Interesting though, in all the pics that I can find from this camp, Mantle was wearing Adidas and Ford was wearing Puma.
Yeah, it's kind of one of those that it's neat that it's got the historical significance of, being event worn by, one of the legends of the game. But personally, there's still something to, game worn I'm more interested in than event worn. And, was this really Ford, not Mantle? It wouldn't be the first time that Panini had some things mixed up.
Yeah. It's just sad. I mean, this whole Mantle Panini thing has been just weird. I feel like, we showed the Mantle, the autograph they cut in half.
Yeah.
And some other things that they've done, and they are just turning it on. I guess the Astros want the Nationals to score all the runs tonight, which is fine, I guess, right? Michael Taylor just hit a home run. So we'll come back, but it's just not a good look there. We had Alpha Guy Alpha Card Guy 42 on Twitter. Reach out at Big Shep at our trading cards at Junkwax Twins. Don't know if you care about this topic, but Triple Threads was released today with Felipe Vasquez. And Felipe Vasquez has 11 separate relics and auto cards as part of the set. He was arrested on serious charges on September 17th. Why were his cards pulled from the set? What would it take for someone to be removed from a set? What if he had a murder charge? These are bad enough. No one's going to want any of these cards at all for what he's been charged with. I don't know how long out cards are packed out to see if they can be removed. So what should happen? If you don't know, he had some major charges with underage girl or girls back in September come across, and we put it out there. And one, I don't know on the pack out process, but I feel like it would probably have been, that was about a month ago that this happened. I have a feeling the product was already packed sealed. Not sure if it was been delivered out, but it was probably already packed up and ready to rock and roll. But, we're past that, So what would you guys want to see done now with those cards? Now with that, those accusations and charges against him?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, ideally, you won't have players in these situations, and you can avoid that. I think it's a fine line between accusations, arrests, and ultimate convictions. At what point do you draw the line and stop your release process and pull things back? To get those cards removed. I don't know enough about the logistics and the timing to know when exactly to do that, but
I do know that he admitted to having that's kind of a relationship, intimate relationship with the girl that was involved. So he came. I mean, he even told them. So yeah, he's not been sentenced or anything, but he did tell the investigators, yes, some of your story is correct.
Yeah.
So
it's not a good look. It's
definitely
not a good look to be and then having products with those guys in it.
Then they double down today and release a card, the card with the Aroldis Chapman, for domestic, who was charged with domestic violence and all that stuff. So
I've got extremely personal feelings about accusations being made towards somebody, and I know in his case he did, I believe, admit to certain things being accurate. But we reached out to a few friends. I tagged our friends Susie and Brent and Ryan Cracknell or not Brent. I forget who else I had tagged. But we wanted their thoughts on the subject, and Ryan responded and basically agreed that it was probably too late in the process to stop. So when Topps produced that, at that time, he was an all-star pitcher. He was, one of the best closers in the game. There's no reason at that point when they put him on the checklist, he shouldn't have been included from a player perspective. After the checklist goes to production, then that's about the time when he gets arrested. It was probably far too late in the process for his cards to be pulled from this product, outside of pulling all of the product back, opening it all, pulling them out, and then replacing him on the checklist with another subject. It's unfortunate. And I know, Tim, your idea was what before I finished my thought?
Yeah, no, my idea was, what if you pull the card and you did not want the card, that Topps would offer some kind of a replacement, a different card, because we know not all the cards are packed out. They've said that before. Maybe it's something from another product or whatever happens to be that, they give you some gift card money to go shop on the side. I don't know what it is. I mean, how valuable would his cards have been in the first place? Right. But they do some kind of a buyback if you want to do that.
I think that's a great idea, so that it would let the manufacturer let everybody know, hey, we don't condone that type of behavior. We'll swap this out for you. but it also doesn't completely disrupt their whole manufacturing and distribution process. Like I said, it's a bad situation, and it stinks when we've got professional athletes that do stuff like this. And
but Steph, real quick, I'm gonna let you finish. I'm gonna put one last piece of information. I'll let you finish up the topic, Ben. So Steph shared this with us in our chat pre-show. After the 59 season was over, there was a player. His last name's Boucher, and he was arrested for exposing himself to young girls. He pleaded guilty to a series of charges, including indecent exposure. This was after the 57 season. He was sentenced to 3 years probation and spent a few months in a psych institution. Good Lord, I can't even speak tonight. In Connecticut, and then was allowed to return to the Phillies July 1st of 58. Is for this reason Topps card. This is the reason the 1958 Topps card number 145, which Bushi was supposed to be on, it was not issued. So if you were collecting the 58 Topps set, card 145 is missing. It's because they pulled him out of production. But again, this happened before the card was. It looks like it was produced but never released. You're able to go and pull it out. So similar situation, I guess. Topic wise has happened before, but I'm gonna let Ben in this up, and we're gonna move on to some happier things here.
No, just my final thought was, and I had tweeted about this. Topps isn't fiscally responsible in this case. They didn't do anything wrong by including him, unlike Aroldis Chapman, where we know what he was charged with, suspended for, things along those lines. It'd be no different than if they include Addison Russell in products moving forward. Now, you can say, are you condoning the actions? But they weren't aware of any of this when they included him on the checklist. Now, if you want to argue as a courtesy to customers, maybe if they offered, something online, like Tim, you'd suggested, 10% off certain products, Topps Now, something along those lines, the next online exclusive, as a courtesy, but you have to turn the card in first. Well, at least they're not out direct money per se. There's no shipping costs or anything associated with it. But at the end of the day, most collectors are probably just going to have the card and.
Well, they're not. They're going to go, who the hell is this guy? I don't care.
There's that too.
I mean, it's not like the Pirates are super collectible. Sorry, Scott. But I mean, basically, you're getting Kramer and Kevin Kramer, and they have one other guy that's coming out of product left. Kramer and Newman, like Seinfeld. That's all you find of the Pirates this year. So, moving on. So, World Series winner. I put out a poll yesterday before. It was a quick 8-hour poll before the series kicked off, or first pitch was, and the Nats are probably going to win today. They're going to be up 2-0. There was 27 votes, and 63% went with the Astros, only 37% with the Nationals. I wonder how that would change after the first two games. And the Nationals are up 11-2, the top of the nine, or 12-2, bottom of the ninth. So they've wrapped this up. They're up 2-0. It's still could be a series. It's never over. But I think if they get to 3-0, it's a done deal. But would you guys have changed? I mean, going into it, who do you think was going to win the series out of the Astros and Nationals?
I voted for the Nationals because that's who I wanted to win. And so, no, I'm happy. I'm in the minority up front, and it's looking good so far.
No, I thought the Nationals were going to win. The Nationals were 19-31 at the beginning of June, and since that date, they're one of the top 5 teams as far as record goes. And if you look at the Astros' record of 107 wins, they beat up on the Mariners and the Rangers and the Angels, Tigers and the Royals, and the Tigers, the Royals, the Orioles. They beat up on a lot of teams that were way below 500. If you look at their record against above 500 teams, it was like 38-35, or it was barely above 500 against 500 teams, suggesting that the 107 wins were highly inflated by subpar teams.
Yeah, but you only can play on who's on the schedule, though. That's not their fault.
It's not their fault, but they were 18-1 against the Mariners. So what I'm saying is, when you look at their record, there's a little bit more to the story than meets the eye. In other words, they're at 107 wins. The Nationals won, I think, 91 or 92 this year.
Yeah, but they beat everybody else in the American League.
Who? Oh, the Astros to get there?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying
they
they're not.
The gauntlet that's set up.
I'm not saying they're not worthy opponents. I'm saying that it wasn't as the discrepancy that the Astros, oh my gosh, they're going to come in here and kill the Nationals, is a false narrative. It's a much closer series than meets the eye if you really analyze both teams, especially after June 1st. And so it shouldn't surprise anybody that the Nationals are up 2-0.
And if you guys are following the chat, Steph has gone full nerd on the dude pitching for the Nationals, saying thank Christian Guzman trade for getting him, and he put a big long list of guys that have been trades that happened.
If Stefan wants to be involved in the show,
he should be on it.
He should be
feeling better, right? Yeah. So kind of crazy. So we're gonna get into the NBA. The NBA kicked off last night. There were 2 games we talked about. My Kings are playing right now against the Suns, and I'm not watching the game, so I'm gonna go check the score. But so Steph, who doesn't watch basketball, his team is the Timberwolves, and he already said, "Oh, the season's over." For the Timberwolves, which I thought was funny. Poor guy. But my Kings hopefully have a shot this year. I'm excited for them. Hopefully they make the playoffs. And they're currently down 11. Awesome. So the crappy Suns with 10 minutes to go in the fourth. So hopefully they can come back. His pick was the Los Angeles Clippers versus the Milwaukee Bucks. Mike, who do you have in the NBA Finals?
I think it's going to be the Rockets and the Bucks. That's kind of where I landed.
So who's going to win?
I think the Rockets are more likely to win, but the Bucks is who I would want to win.
Ben, who'd you have?
I have the Clippers beating the 76ers, and that's assuming that Ben Simmons figures out how to shoot and he stays healthy. They were a Kawhi Leonard prayer shot away from, staying alive. I think that was in Game 6, if I'm not mistaken, last year.
Yeah. Or 7.
7.
I think it was 7.
Was it 7?
Mm-hmm.
But the Sixers are deep. I have no problem with the Bucks. I think those are probably going to be the 2 best teams in the East. I don't think the Rockets are deep enough beyond Harden and Westbrook, and because those guys replicate one another. And the fact that D'Antoni just can't ever get to the finals because his team is built to win in the regular season and not the postseason. The Clippers are ridiculously deep, and it would shock me if anybody else. But don't sleep on the Jazz either. The Jazz.
I love this. I give you one. You're like Mel Kiper. You list like about 14 teams. Oh, these guys are good. These guys are good. These guys are good. These guys are good. Yeah. No, I'm just kidding. I'm giving you a hard time tonight, but you always do that.
Well, at least I know how to talk, and I can say the word psychiatric ward.
There we go. Hey, it's been a long, fun day today. No, I real quick, I find it funny. I just looked here on ESPN.com, and the headlines: Kyrie's record 50 not enough as Nets fall in OT. I love that. I love that the Nets spent all this money. Durant's not going to play this season. Kyrie has an amazing game, and they still lose. It goes to show that sometimes money doesn't buy you happiness or wins. So yeah, love that. That makes me all warm and fuzzy. And why hasn't 7-Eleven really quick picked up on Kyrie's wearing 11 and Durant's wearing 7 now, and they could do a total thing with 7-Eleven, and they just haven't. Like, what's going on there? Come on, missed opportunity by 7-Eleven to get those 2 guys.
I'm not a Nets fan. But let's not sleep on what Sean Marks did. The Nets were a mess because of that Garnett Pierce trade. Yeah. And Sean Marks comes over, and all of a sudden now they've got Kyrie, and they've got Durant, and they've got other players. And sweet Jesus, Sean Marks has done a phenomenal job.
Well, yeah, because they didn't have draft picks for like 5 years.
Yeah, I mean they haven't had any draft picks, and
well, they have the great Gary Temple on their bench, so that helps out. They lost to the Timberwolves, by the way. Let's just go there. So we just talked about how terrible the Timberwolves are going to be, and they lost at home on opening night with Kyrie to the Timberwolves. So.
If you would have said to any Nets fan 3 years ago, this is what your team is going to look like now, I mean, Sean Marks has done a remarkable job making them at the very least relevant.
My picks: Denver Nuggets over Milwaukee Bucks. The NBA would hate that because of the super small markets there. But real quick, going about coaching, you talked about D'Antoni. Is he this generation's Rick Adelman? Because Rick got to the finals with some of those good Blazer teams, never won. Here in Sacramento, he got them really far, but never over the hump because they were that run and gun, shoot it up. And the Rockets are the same way. They're just not built to win the playoffs because when it comes down and they're reliant on just hitting threes to win games and they don't really play basketball, they kind of lose out in that half-court game, right?
Adelman was a victim of some bad luck, I think.
The Pippen Jordan teams and then the Shaq Kobe's.
I think so. Adelman had great Kings teams when the Lakers and the Spurs were dominant. And at the very least, you could say they were the third best team in the West for a small window, right? A 3 to 5 year window where it was dominated by predominantly the Lakers, surrounded by Spurs wins in 99 and 03. And I think Adelman just was bad luck. D'Antoni's problem is they're going to outscore you night in, night out, but they're like the pitcher, and we're seeing it right now with the Houston Astros and the Nationals even. Are these guys just tired? They've been pitching since March. Here it is October. Are their arms just worn out and they're not the same guy on the back of their jersey that they were in July? Same kind of thing with D'Antoni is when you get into the playoffs and all of a sudden defense gets tougher and the game slows down, the reason that the Suns could never get past San Antonio is because Popovich stopped their offense.
Yeah.
He made it a half-court game, and Amari and Marion and Nash, they couldn't run and gun. It stopped.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden,
my whole point was the Nuggets have the Kings' old coach Michael Malone, and he got kind of run out of town by a crappy front office person. And that front office person now actually does work for the Nuggets, but doesn't work in the basketball side of business. But Michael Malone's a really good coach. They have a good young core, and they're going to be a sleeper. I mean, they kind of came out of nowhere last year. They were in the 9th seed 2 years ago. They were the 2nd or 3rd seed last year. And I think the Bucks regroup, and I think they added some pieces this year to help them get to the finals. I mean, it's going to be hard with the 76ers, the Celtics, and I even think the Raptors still are built to do some damage out east. So, but anyway, so there's a new ComC return policy, and we left ourselves plenty of time tonight to talk about this. This is a big topic. Good night, Ken. You'll have to check out this topic later. But the new ComC policy came out. Our buddy Ben Aguirre at Cardboard Icons tweeted out a post he put on. He put out the other day about returns in the hobby. He said returns in the hobby should not be accepted, especially without question. So the new ComC policy. Real quick snippets from his article, and we'll get into more detail here. But it's in an email he received from ComC. It stated that that they would accept returns from buyers within 60 days of the original purchase or of the original purchase date, original date of the purchase, or 30 days from delivery of an item, without questions asked. The site also says that if someone purchases an item and is repriced it, i.e. tries to flip it on the site, no avail, then returns cannot occur. So that's good. While I believe the site decided to do this to improve customer service and grow its footprint in the hobby, I think the advertised policy panders to the ever-growing issue we are facing on other selling platforms, such as scams, i.e. cards being switched out, and other unsavory activities, and it really opens the door for a lot of uncertainty. So this was a big thing yesterday. Mike hopped in, and he said people are losing their minds over the ComC return policy, which is about the same as every other online site and more restrictive than PayPal. This is being blown way out of proportion, but I could be wrong. You said in the last 60 days you've sold 865 cards through there. On the first day, you've had 0 return requests. So I just kind of wanted to know your thought about this topic and about the return policy. Because we got a lot of people hyped up. I mean, Ryan and Colin both chimed in yesterday and kind of got a little, put their shtick out there, and they sold quite a bit of stuff on there, and they weren't concerned. But what do you guys think?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think there was just a lot of overreaction. It felt like people were getting worked up, needing something to get outraged over. And I don't think it's going to end up being that big of a deal. And the reason I said that is because in the e-commerce world, generous return policies are becoming the norm. And Amazon and eBay and all of these companies have had years and years of data that has kind of outlined that the more generous your return policy, the more confident your customers are going to be in your platform. The more confident they are, the more they're going to buy. And at the end of the day, returns just haven't been a large issue. And so the studies have shown, I think Amazon estimates somewhere around 1% of their returns are fraudulent. There's other studies that have shown the longer return window you give actually results in fewer returns. Sportlots has a 6-month return policy to be able to open up an issue and return an item. PayPal 6 months. People complain a lot about these fraudulent PayPal and eBay returns, but when you think about the grand scale of how many cards are sold, it's a small number that are actually fraudulent transactions of people trying to actively scam. I just think it's blown way out of proportion. And then when you take into account some of the additional clarification and safeguards that ComC has in place to be monitoring this for people who appear to be doing a lot of last-minute returns or returning cards where it's clear that there's been an injury or a major driver to a change in valuation, that they can and will restrict returns from those individuals. And so it just seemed like there's a lot of smart card people who weren't thinking it all the way through before getting really upset on the policy. And so that's why I just kind of said, hey, let's look at the data of what's really gone on in the past and what's really likely to go on in the future before we start saying we're going to pull all our cards off of here and some of these other things that were being thrown around yesterday. So that's kind of where I was at is I've not seen it. I don't see it happening. I could be wrong. Time will tell. But I think there's a lot of overreaction.
There's really two separate conversations here. One is should returns be allowed in this hobby, period, being one conversation. And then if they are being accepted, what is a reasonable amount of time? And the people that overreacted yesterday or had very specific concerns probably have been subjected to being on the wrong side of a scam in the past, and maybe multiple times. And so they're a little jaded, and they're probably not looking at this as objective as you are, Mike, where you're a lot looking more at the abstract of it's not any different than falling in line with so many other retail marketplaces that are not hobby related. My one thought process, and I know that a few other people like John Newman chimed in with this, is, we're in a hobby that is reflective of human performance. And unlike if I'm buying a blender on Amazon or, a random item at any number of retail outlets, the ebb and flow of valuation changes every day for better or worse. And it can change with a single performance, as we're seeing right now in the postseason. Juan Soto cards are probably going to start appreciating considerably over the next few days, and have been over the last few days, because of what he's doing. If all of a sudden they go down in value because he's having a bad performance over the next few weeks, assuming the season continued, or with a Zion Williamson injury, an extended return policy specific to our hobby can be seen as a negative, because it does open up the door for people that have nefarious intentions or a change of heart. And that's where Ryan came in yesterday. Ryan Teddard from Sports Card News, had come in and basically supported your position, Mike, and with his thoughts of this is a non-issue. I know Chris Torres just hopped in the chat and said the same thing. At the end of the day, it's probably not going to be enough one way or the other for anybody to really notice. But it does at least open the door a little wider. But at the end of the day, I don't think 14 days, 30 days, 60 days, if a guy's going to scam, a guy's going to scam. It just allows more days for a player's performance to alter the valuation of a card in a negative way, and then put the onus on the seller to have to eat the difference.
Yeah, and I don't disagree that hypothetical scenario is out there, and that there are probably a small number of disingenuous buyers who are going to try to take advantage of that. And my big point is it's now a slightly bigger window on ComC, but that window was already there on ComC because they had a unlimited return policy already, which was 2 weeks from receipt. You could hold it for however long you wanted before. There was no 60 days from purchase before. It was 14 days from whenever you took possession of it before physically. And other platforms have had the same risk for years and years and years. And while we hear of some stories, it's a small percentage at scale. It's not something that is scaled. And so, that risk exists, but not that much statistically in a statistically significant way, that much more than it was before.
Yeah, I don't think a lot of people knew what the return policy was previously.
Can we clarify something real quick that Mike just said?
Yeah.
You said 14 days from receipt. Now that's from when I actually have it shipped to my home, correct?
Prior to it, that's what it was. Yeah. So there was no date before from the original purchase.
So you could have held on to it for 5 years.
Yeah, let me read exactly what it was, and this is a quote from ComC. It says, under the old return policy, there was nothing stopping buyers from purchasing items, sitting on them in their account for weeks, months, or even years, requesting shipment if they no longer wanted the item, and then immediately returning it for a full refund due to our 14 days of receipt clause.
Okay, so if I buy something from you on January 1st, February 1st, March 1st, so on and so forth for an entire calendar year, 12 months, 12 purchases, but I leave them at ComC in my name. You've sold them to me, but I've not shipped them yet. That 14 days has not expired because it's never started, correct?
But this was the old policy.
In the old
That's
policy.
The old policy.
Yep.
Right. I just want clarification for anybody that might not have used ComC.
Yep.
So I now, at the beginning of January the following year, I have all of this stuff shipped to me. And the second I receive it, now the 14 days begins, correct?
That was the old policy.
That's the old policy. So in theory, this is actually better on the seller's end, because if I buy something from you on January 1st, and again, under that same hypothetical, I don't ship it out until the following January, the second March 1st hits, whatever I bought January 1st is now mine to keep. I cannot return that. It's a hard 60 days, right?
Yes.
Okay. So then anything I buy in November and December under that hypothetical, those would be the only items subjected to a potential return, depending on when I actually purchased them. So it's actually better in the seller's favor for people that like to buy over a period of time before actually having everything shipped to their home.
Yeah, I like I said, I think there is a potential for some people to scam, but I just don't think it's going to amount to much.
No, but like I said, we love Ben Aguirre, and I know he was very, when he wrote his blog, he was very upset. And again, there's a whole separate, maybe we can do a roundtable one day, invite Mike back on, have Ben on, and maybe one other person, and have a roundtable about whether the hobby should have returns at all. That's a whole nother, much bigger conversation.
Oh yeah, and I'll admit that. Do I think it's really needed? Like, do I think it's needed from in general? No, I don't think it's needed, but I support it if the data says that it's going to help drive sales and help create more customer confidence in the e-commerce world that we're all living in.
You need to look at ComC. They've been really forward thinking on quite a few items in the hobby, where they've made changes ahead of time that you look back and go, okay, well, that makes a lot of sense now. And maybe they're not perfect for everyone, and no platform is it perfect for everyone. There's always going to be a bump on the road, or you're going to feel a certain way towards any of them. But they've always kind of thought a little bit ahead of a time, and they're one of the ones kind of helping a seller where most always are trying to help the buyer. So it's interesting to see. I think long term is we're just going to see where it's at, and if it doesn't work, they're going to be the first ones to stand up and say, yeah, we need to change this. This is not working. And meeting Tim, the guy that runs it, he's a collector at heart. I mean, if you saw the video when we sat down with him, he is a really smart guy, but he's also a very passionate collector. So he's coming from those eyes as well, and he understands that. And the people that work for him are in the same boat. They're very similar to us, and I got to meet a handful of them. So
and they make data-driven decisions.
Yeah,
they're tracking.
This is what the numbers say.
They're tracking every aspect of that operation.
Oh, yeah, and they're so put together.
So I have no doubt that they're that they've thought through the decision and that they're going to be monitoring. And when they say that they're going to be monitoring, looking for people abusing the policy and addressing it, I have 100% confidence that
they're not a bipolar company that's making crazy decisions. They are not the Oakland Raiders of baseball card or trading card sites where they're just like, oh, we're going to do this today. Oh, look over here. Look who.
Are you referring to the fact that John Gruden traded away maybe the greatest pass rusher of this generation and then says last week, you know what? Before the trade deadline, I think we need to trade for pass rushing. Well, maybe you shouldn't have got rid of Khalil Mack before you even met the man. Yeah. But that's just neither here nor there now, is it?
Enjoy Vegas, guys. All right, well, as we end the show tonight, I think it's been fun. Mike, I really appreciate you coming and hanging out with us tonight.
Yeah, thanks for the invite.
Always, yeah, it's always good to have you on. I feel like you're the fourth co-host. You're like, I guess, Ringo.
There you go.
So I think he's more of like a Pete Best.
Oh, he's better than Pete Best.
Well, I would never say that to his face.
Oh, okay.
We'll wait till we stop recording.
You just told me I had the key to your heart.
Son of a gun. That was private. It was amongst our 2,000 closest friends on Twitter.
Yes, yes. Remember, we're live every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific, 10 Central on YouTube and all the other places. Make sure to subscribe.
And 11 p.m. East Coast time.
Make sure to subscribe and review on all platforms. Follow us on Twitter about the cards. Always follow Ben at our trading cards. You can follow Steph at Junkwax Twins. You can always follow Mike at the Mike Sommer. And you always follow me at Big Shep 79. If you want to come out and hang out with me on Saturday, I am going to have a table at the Sacramento Crown Plaza Hotel show Saturday from 9 to 4. So
hey, when's your birthday?
I will have a table at the Collectible Corner monthly show in Normal, Illinois this weekend as well.
Look at that. Let's do it. I like it. I'm late night tonight going to go through and sort all this stuff behind me to get ready for the show and have some fun.
You turned 40, didn't you?
No, not 40 yet.
When is your birthday?
I don't like to celebrate my birthday, but my birthday, my 40th birthday is on Monday. I share it with the great Caitlyn Jenner, a.k.a. Bruce Jenner.
So all three of you.
All three of us, yeah. Yeah, so no, I'll be 40 on Monday. So,
well, welcome to the club.
Yeah, I'm excited. And then 2 weeks after that, my daughter will be here. So on a Thursday, so I'll get to do the show the night before, and then go and do the hospital thing and be back for the next show. But I'll probably be very haggard and very happy to have an hour or two to myself to do the show. So.
Well, congratulations on 40, and
made it almost.
Congratulate you in 2 weeks on the young lady's arrival.
Yeah, we're very excited. So, yes, sir. All right, Mike, anything before we head outside, bud? We'll give you the last word.
No, just thanks for having me on. Had a good time chatting, and look forward to the next time. All
right, guys. And always, when you're selling cards, you put the divider behind the cards. It's the only way. If not, then you
Always.
should be thrown in jail. All right, everyone. Have a good night.
See ya.